Holler and a Swaller, a chug of ballpark brew, presented by The Hitter Sports.
And welcome to Holler and a Swaller, presented by The Hitter Sports. And no, you are not having a nightmare. And yes, I'm dressed in pink, but I'm of course wearing the pink nightmare outfit from A Christmas Story in the first segment of the show. Why? Because we've got some fun in store for you this episode. We've got a lot of holiday stuff going on. We are trying to keep it light. We've got a short film coming, and I thought, what better way to set the mood and to kind of put us off on the right start than this, right? At this point, it's all downhill or uphill, depending on your perspective. But no, we are here to sample our last two Christmas beers that we've picked for the show. Those of you who don't remember, the point of this segment is to be trying new beers out at ballparks, staying away from the Coors Light and the Michelob and the Bud Light and all the stuff that's basically urine, and to get into some of our more culturally distinctive. But because of COVID, we can't do that. So we've been going to Specs and Total Wine and our favorite local little liquor stores to find new stuff. And so I've picked two very specific beers for us today. And I've got one from Texas, Houston, Texas to be precise, because obviously my love of the Astros, my family's there, a lot of my heart's there. And then we've got one from Newport, Oregon, where my daughter Jordan, Max, and the grandkids are. So I thought I would give a taste to these beers, and I want to toast my baseball family with this Holler and a Swaller. This season could have been awful. In many ways, this season was rough, but it was made better by the people that I know love me, like my wife and kids and brother and the contributors to the show, who really were very generous with their love, but also with people that I met through baseball and on Twitter. And I'm not one who talks to people, believe it or not, very easily. But I can at a ball game, and in some ways, some of my Twitter interactions kind of replace that. So we're going to start with my, first of all, my completely badass Millennium Falcon bottle opener with Newport Brewing's 2019 Rogue Santa's Private Reserve. ASMR. All right, so maybe not the greatest ASMR. Now listen, I'm going to be going out of my other National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation glass with this one. I know that my English teacher, Mrs. Clark, used to tell me not to mix metaphors. I hope it's okay to mix movie references, but we'll see. And so they describe this beer. This year, Santa visited us in Newport and brought along some candy cap mushrooms that he had picked himself. He said they added a delicious maple flavor to the brew, and boy, was he right. Boasting a deep, sweet maple flavor and aroma, this year's Santa's Private Reserve is certain to bring the holiday cheer. And so, again, Holler and a Swaller. You very much can taste very much a maple undertone. Very smooth beer, very delicious. Now, the other thing we have is the Saint Arnold. We had other Saint Arnolds on the show before, but this is Ye Olde Christmas Ale. And this was one of the very first Christmas beers I'd ever had. Still one of my favorites. Saint Arnold's, for all the beer that comes out of Austin, and Houston's kind of catching up, St. Arnold's is one of the very first microbrews that I'd ever heard of. I think I first toured their brewery like in 95 with Marty Tom Chesson, Andy Tom Chesson's brother. That Andy's the one who does the show. And so I was really excited to kind of cap off our tasting of Christmas beers with a classic one that I love. ASMR. Yeah. Incredibly light, incredibly crisp, incredibly smooth going down. This is the St. Arnold's that I know, the St. Arnold's that I love, the St. Arnold's that I drink at Minute Maid Park and home a lot. I kind of cycle through some regular beers, and St. Arnold's is always on the list. So again, enjoy the rest of our Christmas episode. Holler and a Swaller, baby.
Show me the merch. The best from the pro shop.
And welcome to Show Me the Merch. We are hanging out. I'm still dressed like the Pink Nightmare from A Christmas Story. And because I'm a nice postmodern self-referential filmmaker, I'm also going to drink the You'll Shoot Your Eye Out Carbach Brewing while I do this. I really drink way more beer on the show than I do in real life. Become a wine guy. But Baseball Santa, who we have on in the next episode, thought that I must have been a very good boy because I awoke to these packages downstairs. And so I want to dive right into them because they're a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see some of the new looks that we got from the big guy up north. So we're going to start with Shake, Shake, Shake. I don't think it's a puppy, but I wonder if a puppy will fit into our narrative. That's foreshadowing. So we're starting with the Southern Maryland Blue Claws. And first of all, I love the look of this hat. I love the branding design. We had these guys on the show before, and I'm a big sucker for the Carolina blue on the navy look, and I think so clever with this, with the claw being the C. But I picked this up, one again, like we had them on our show, but also got the super sweet hoodie. But I wanted to kind of do a shout out to Eric and Tammy Adair, some of our greatest friends who we both served with back in the Army. My wife and I were very close to them, still close to this day. You've heard them on these airwaves. Now, our next team in the bright red box, this was a Hallmark movie. This would be the significant present. The Frisco Rough Riders, one of the classiest teams in minor league baseball, Texas League team. They use Teddy Roosevelt as their main mascot, and everything drives from that. We got the cool maroon ball cap, which, yeah, I know, I'm a Longhorn. I said the maroon was cool. Look, it's a good color. Longhorns don't erase colors from the spectrum for silly reasons. I also got a really cool distressed t-shirt with the R logo in the bottom. And again, the distressed t-shirt, it's always sort of funny to me that we spend money on things that look like they've already been worn. But it's capitalism, baby. And then, last but not least, the Spokane Indians. So we start with the regular game day cap, which has the block S and the super cool feather down below. The other thing that we got was their Salish cap. And listen, the thing is, there's a lot of controversy today with native iconography being used for sports teams. And I think a lot of it's super justified. I think that we could all agree that the Redskins is an awful name for a team, that the tomahawk chop is probably best left in the 90s. But what I like about the Spokane Indians is that the Spokane Nation had a lot to say with the branding of the team, with what looks they went through, to make sure that it was a respectful reflection of Native American culture. And that includes Salish, which is the language of the Spokane Nation, on the hat. And we also have Salish on a version of the Spokane Indians main logo tee. So these three teams were picked specifically for a lot of reasons, but I wanted to point out that we bought this gear on Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. The fact is that this has been a rough year for all three of these teams. For the most part, there's been no baseball. They are dealing with having not really sold a ticket and going on 18 months. And on top of that, for a couple of the teams, and in many teams throughout minor league baseball, they are playing a life and death game of musical chairs, where there's 120 chairs and 160 teams going in a circle, and you got to hope you're not one of the 40 teams that doesn't have a seat. And on top of that, Rob Manfred's probably playing like bad Bee Gees remixes just to make it extra torturous. And so while these teams are dealing with the financial difficulties, the uncertainty of their future, having to lay off employees, which no business ever wants to do, particularly a small business, they are still providing testing sites. They are still making their food available for to-go items. They're still entertaining us on social media. They have been there for us, and this year, we need to be there for them. So we have 7 days of Hanukkah left, plenty of shopping days until Christmas. I highly recommend if you have a sports fan in the family that wants something cool and different, look at minor league baseball or indie league or collegiate summer league. You're bound to find something really, really cool and unique. And I mean, imagine wearing this hat. I can't tell you the number of times I've worn a hat from minor league baseball, like in a brewery in Toronto of all places, wearing a team from the East Coast, and someone coming up to me and saying, "Cool hat. Where did you get it?" Because yeah, the hat is super cool, but the people that are behind the hat and the small businesses you're supporting are even better.